Live from the Coca-Cola Great Hall at Heinz Field, Pitt Panthers Television brings you Panthers Pregame.
Good afternoon, Panther Nation, and welcome to Heinz Field. Justin Downs and Greg Linnelli getting you ready for Pitt and Utah. Definitely an interesting matchup between two teams that have struggled lately, but looking to get back on track today.
Yeah, the Panthers, no question, after a disappointing loss to Rutgers last week. Utah coming in with a different quarterback this week. It should be fun at Heinz Field.
Yeah, Utah fell last week 35-14 to Arizona State. The Pitt Panthers fell 34-10 against Rutgers. Both conference losses that both teams are looking to avenge this coming week. Want to take a look back, though, at last week's game in Piscataway. It all started, with Ray Graham early in this game. I don't know who that guy was at the beginning of that.
He wasn't Ray Graham, let's just say that.
Ray Graham was the knight in shining armor for the Panthers early and often, breaking off long runs, getting the Panthers into field goal range, really stretching this drive out.
Yeah, Tino Sinceri here, heading straight for a nice gain, settling for a field goal, which is okay on the road.
Yeah, 29-yard field goal here by Kevin Harper gets the Panthers on the board first. Todd Graham, very impressed, but he was not pleased with this throw by Tino Sinceri.
No, one of 3 picks by Tino led to a Rutgers field goal, but turnovers killed the Panthers in this game.
Yeah, 50-yard curveball there by San Santee, the Rutgers place kicker. In steps Trey Anderson with Rutgers up 6-3 at the half. Trey Anderson looking for a spark on offense, and he is intercepted. Treated Tino Sinceri pretty poorly, did the Rutgers defense. Trey Anderson wasn't treated much better.
And they turned that into points. That's what good teams do, and the Panthers just didn't have an answer there in the red zone.
Gary Nova, 6 yards to Mark Harrison for that touchdown. Rutgers up 13-3. And the Panthers defense now, Greg, they really needed a stop. They blitzed the house on 3rd and 9, and oh no. Here goes Joe Martinek, 60 yards on a screen pass for a Rutgers touchdown, making it 20-3 late in the third quarter.
It was a great call by Rutgers that time, as you mentioned, getting the Panthers in a blitz, but they battled back in that fourth quarter.
That's right, first play of the fourth quarter. Ray Graham goes 80 yards down the sideline. He's so close to the end zone he can smell it, but he's down at the 3. No matter, though, Ray Graham just says, hey, give me the ball one more time, I'll do my thing, punches it into the end zone from 3 yards out.
And look at him bounce off tackles, best running back in the Big East, and he kept the game close. You got to be sound in special teams. Unfortunately, they didn't do it here.
Yeah, certainly. It was 20-10 at this point. The whole fourth quarter still to play. The Panthers, again, they just need one stop. Whether it comes on defense, on special teams, it wasn't going to happen in this one. Rutgers gets the big kick return. All the momentum swings back with the Scarlet Knights. And then Savon Higgins, their freshman tailback, punches it in from 6 yards out and gets Rutgers into the end zone. That was how it was going to cap off. Tino Sinceri would throw another interception that would be returned for a touchdown. 34-10, the final score in Piscataway. Pitt falls to 1-1 in conference. Rutgers improves to 2-0. We'll see later they are at the top of the Big East Conference standings.
Yeah, and I think this is a game where the Panthers thought they could have won. They didn't, and unfortunately Rutgers moves ahead of them in the standings.
Yeah, it just seems like each week the Pitt Panthers have some phase of their game that they just can't get to click. We saw it. We saw it all happen 2 weeks ago against South Florida. And we weren't expecting this kind of letdown going into Rutgers.
No, and make no mistake, Rutgers is a good team, but the Panthers turned the ball over 4 times, and they had penalties. We saw that in the first half. How many pass interference calls did they have? Plus Tino Sinceri throwing 3 interceptions, and you saw Trey throw another one as well. Not a clean game for the Panthers in that contest.
The passing game did struggle, but you always try to look for a bright spot in these games, and that bright spot was our muscle milk power performer, Ray Graham. He does it every week, and it doesn't matter without a passing game, with a passing game, a patchwork offensive line, it just doesn't matter.
That, and you hit on it, that's the most impressive thing here for Ray Graham. The fact that the offensive line has been inconsistent, the passing game's been inconsistent. Teams know the Panthers are going to run the football. Look, I think Ray Graham needs to touch the ball 40 times a game. I really do. I think he's the best player in the Big East. He's electric, and you know you're good when the other team knows what you're going to do, and you still do it well, and that's exactly what Ray Graham does.
Something very telling, the Pitt Panthers are 4-0 this year when Ray Graham touches the ball 30 times in the football game. He did not this past week against Rutgers, and the team suffered a loss. In fact, each game where Ray hasn't touched the ball 30-plus times, the team has came out with a defeat.
Yeah, there's no reason why he shouldn't touch the ball almost every play offensively right now.
Yeah, you saw there 164 yards per game. Ray Graham getting it done on the ground. He's our muscle milk power performer. We're going to check in with Pat Bostic when we come back. We're just getting started here on Panthers Pregame.
hearing this.
Sorry, Charlie.
Now, with the great taste of new Starkist Cessations frozen entrees, it's time for a little thanks.
Thanks, Charlie, for using only quality seafood.
Thanks, Charlie, for fresh tasting vegetables.
Thanks, Charlie, for sauces that are truly delicious.
New Starkist Cessations entrees, made with salmon, shrimp, or tilapia.
Thanks, Charlie.
Tell them Charlie sent you for new Starkist Cessations entrees.
Drinking on a schedule will help you to remember to hydrate. Drink before, during, and after activity. During activity, kids aged 9 through 12 should drink about a cup of water every 20 minutes. For teens, 5 or 6 cups an hour. Make sure you know the signs of heat stress, which include dizziness, muscle cramps, headaches, and nausea. Those exhibiting symptoms should be sidelined immediately. Keep watching Pitt Panthers television for more Pitt performance updates presented by Starkist.
After years of hearing this.
Sorry, Charlie.
Now, with the great taste of new Starkist Cessations frozen entrees, it's time for a little thanks.
Thanks, Charlie, for using only quality seafood.
Thanks, Charlie, for fresh tasting vegetables.
Thanks, Charlie, for sauces that are truly delicious.
New Starkist Cessations entrees, made with salmon, shrimp, or tilapia.
Thanks, Charlie.
Tell them Charlie sent you for new Starkist Cessations entrees.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Panthers Pregame. Greg, we've seen the Pitt offense struggle a little bit with the move from a pro-style offense to this new spread offense implemented by Todd Graham.
Yeah.
For Utah, it's the opposite, but we still see some spread elements in their system. Here to talk a little bit about that is Pat Bostic with a take breakdown.
A point of emphasis in head coach Todd Graham's Monday press conference was to win the turnover battle. Utah had 4 costly turnovers last week against Arizona State. Let's take a look at how they were forced. After losing starting quarterback Jordan Wynn to injury just a week prior, the Utes were forced to start John Hayes against Arizona State last week. Making his first career start, Hayes drove the team down the field inside the Arizona State red zone. They lined up in a double slot formation, 3 receivers to the top of the screen and a tight end left to the boundary. Hayes was in the shotgun with the back to his left. Offensive coordinator Norm Chow calls a play where the back free releases into the flat. Hayes knows he's not protected well. Arizona State brings more pass rushers than the Utes can block. Hayes has to find his hot route. He scans the field, but doesn't see that the back is uncovered in the flat, probably a sure touchdown. Instead, he tries to force the football down the field while incurring a big hit. The result is an interception and a key play in that football game. Let's see how this play unfolded. Hayes takes the snap. He sees the pass rush, knows that he has some unblocked defenders coming towards him. He tries to find a receiver down the field and forces the ball into coverage when he had a wide open man in the flat. If the Panthers can create this kind of pass rush and cause confusion for quarterback John Hayes, they'll have a chance to make some turnovers happen too.
Well, thanks to Pat Bostic. He's one guy that knows firsthand how disruptive a pass rush can be when it's effective. What do both teams, I think, need to do? Because I think both teams actually are going to see this blitz. We saw Rutgers blitz the Panthers last week as well. So both quarterbacks in this game are going to have to find a way to deal with that pressure.
Yeah, and let's be honest, that has been a problem with the Pitt offense all season long, making the quick read, making the quick decision. Utah's going to do the same thing Pitt's going to do to them. So you're right. It's going to be who gets the ball out to the hot read right away. We saw that illustration. Pat Bostic was breaking it down. The running back was wide open. Could we see Ray Graham be that guy? Maybe.
Notice John Hayes at the quarterback now for Utah after Jordan Wynn. It was called earlier this week. It was announced that he is now out for the season. So Hayes is expected to take over for the remainder of the 2011 season for Utah. What do you think he brings to the table? We saw Jordan Wynn last year use his athleticism and help beat the Panthers. What does Hayes bring to the table in this game?
Well, Hayes is a guy that's been in the system a little bit right now, but I think when you take a look at what the Panthers can do to him, anytime you implement a new offense, we've seen the Panthers struggle at times offensively with it. I think Utah might have some of the same issues as well, both statistically very even. But if the Panthers can get after him, force him to make some turnovers, he did that last week, they might win this game.
Well, let me ask you, coming off of a loss, the Panthers have had some tough ones this year. Where does head coach Todd Graham go from here? If you're Coach Graham in the locker room, what are you saying to your players before this game?
Well, I think you're telling him that, listen, we're close. Even though we haven't played well for 4 quarters in pretty much every game except South Florida. We've been in every game. And I think one way to simplify things, get the ball to Ray Graham, which we've talked about so much. I think that's one way you can take some pressure off of your offense and your quarterback, but at some point, he's going to need to make a play.
Well, we still have so much more to get to on this edition of Panthers Pregame. When we come back, I'll have a special guest with me on set. That and more still to come on Panthers Pregame.
This is the kind of truck that has it all. Guess that means you can do it all. It's the Chevy Season of Doing. Now combine the All-Star Edition discount with other offers for a total value of $6,000. Or qualified buyers can get 0% APR for 60 months plus $1,000 cash allowance on all Silverado models. Get to your Chevy dealer and get that truck today.
Hello? Jimmy John's?
Jimmy John's.
That's fast.
Jimmy John's, freaky fast delivery.
Well, welcome back, everyone, to Panthers Pregame. A very special guest with me right now on set, Penny Zamaya, who is the Assistant Athletic Director of Student Life at the University of Pittsburgh. You received a very generous donation earlier this week from a well-known family. Can you please talk about that for us?
Yeah, absolutely. We received a very generous gift of $1.5 million from the Kathy and John Pelusi family. They are a wonderful, wonderful family and supporters of Pitt athletics and mainly the development of our student athletes. So we're very, very honored and happy that they're able to contribute that.
Yeah, for those of you at home, if you remember, John Pelusi, the 1976 championship starting center on that team, a very well-respected member of the Pittsburgh community. And we start to see that more and more with players and alumni, not necessarily even just athletes, but all students coming back wanting to give back to the university. Why do you think that is?
Well, Pitt is a very special place. Pitt is able to provide an experience for our students and for the individuals who participate in them while they're here. And the beautiful thing about Pitt is there's always a giving spirit, and those who were here prior are now giving back to those who are here now.
Speak a little bit as to what the Student Life program does for athletes on campus in particular. I mean, we're talking about internships and all sorts of different things that really help out the students.
Absolutely. Well, through the Kathy and John Pelusi Family Life Skills Program, our main mission is to essentially help prepare our student athletes for success in life during college and success in life beyond college. And how we go about that is through interactive programs, workshops, one-on-one appointments on how to develop the necessary skills in order to succeed in those areas.
Some of the things that you've seen over the last 10 years or so, even with the very big donation we had earlier this year, we just see more and more people wanting to give back to this university. And there was a statement issued earlier this week I just want to read for you. John Pelusi said, "It is our hope that our gift can somehow be viewed as the gift that keeps on giving by providing every student athlete that comes in contact with the program the opportunity to achieve tremendous success." And so many young students are taking advantage of that now. What do you think it means for students personally to have this kind of support?
Well, the services that our students receive, our student athletes receive, are very well appreciated, especially as they get into their juniors and senior years. We see that through the traffic flow of our offices, through the participation and attendance in our program. So I know and understand where they are today in appreciation, and a harder appreciation for it, a heavier appreciation for it when they leave here.
For somebody that maybe would like to make a donation to this organization, how can they do so?
Absolutely. Well, they can contact the Panther Club and particularly with Maureen Anderson or myself if they'd like to contribute and participate.
Now, you know all about this program as well, too, because you're a former player. You played in that Rod Rutherford era there. You said 97 to 01, correct?
99 to 03.
99 to 03, my fault. Talk about what it's like, especially on a weekend like this, getting to come back for you personally.
Well, for me, I've been spoiled. The past 13 years I've maintained in Pittsburgh, been very fortunate, but I can see through my teammates, my friends, a lot of my cohorts from the Pitt environment, and now they're here participating in the weekend activities. It's a really great feeling, a really a memorable experience to come back to your alma mater and see where you've come from undergrad.
Well, maybe this will bring back a memory. Pitt fans know that in honor of the 10-year history of Heinz Field, we're counting down the greatest moments. Here's this week's Heinz Field moment.
Larry Fitzgerald provided many unforgettable moments for Pitt fans in his career. And on November 8, 2003, he etched his name in the record books again. Trailing 7-3 in the second quarter of the Panthers matchup with Virginia Tech, Fitzgerald made Pitt history.
First and goal at the 5. Panthers trailing by 4, set up in the eye. And it's a touchdown! Larry Fitzgerald again, and Larry Fitzgerald has broken the all-time Panthers single-season record previously held by Julius Dawkins. It's Rutherford to Fitzgerald for the go-ahead score. Rod Rutherford to Larry Fitzgerald. That is his 17th touchdown caught on the year.
Fitzgerald's catch helped the Panthers on their way to an upset over the Hokies, and he would finish the season with 22 touchdown catches, a record that still stands today. In honor of 10 years at Heinz Field, we're remembering the greatest plays of the past decade. You can help us select the Panthers All-Decade Team by logging on to pittsburghpanthers.com/all-decade-team.
Boy, sometimes you forget just how good Larry Fitzgerald and those teams were. I mean, Rod Rutherford, you look at the talent that was on some of those teams. Lusaka Polite, it just keeps going and going. How many memories does that bring back for you?
It brings tons of memories. I mean, just from that clip alone, I can tell you that was my birthday. I turned 22 that day. It was a great atmosphere. And Larry, who's still a dear friend, we keep in contact, is just a class act. And for the work ethic that he had and to see the talent come from that, you're just very appreciative of the tools he had.
What does it mean as a former player to see guys have so much success at the next level? You look at guys like Fitzgerald, like Darrelle Revis, more recently Dion Lewis, LaShawn McCoy. What's it like for you as a former player to see these guys go on to such great careers?
Well, one, I can tell you don't have a particular affinity towards a professional team because you want to root for your guys.
Yeah.
Knowing that they're Pitt guys first and they're on these great NFL teams. And it's wonderful because it's an opportunity to show the world what type of talent is here at Pitt and then see them with their endeavors like Larry and his nonprofits and his endeavors in the community. It shows you the quality of the person that they are as well.
Here with Penny Samaya, if you're just joining us, and you're a big part, as we talked about, of the student life organization on campus. This week is homecoming week. What kind of activities, what was going on campus this week?
Well, with all homecoming activities, you're going to have the homecoming court, homecoming king and queen. This brings back a lot of memories. It's a great opportunity. I know we had a couple of our student athletes actually run for homecoming king and queen, and to see the support not only from their particular teams, but from the entire student athlete population, and then the atmosphere it provides on campus. It helps to build memories and opportunities for them to grow and remember and cherish their Pitt experience.
As a former player, when you talk about homecoming, I mean, you have the band and the fans every game, but does it raise up a notch on this day?
Oh, absolutely. This is the one day you'd never want to lose. The pressure is there internally because you know all eyes are on you. Your alumni are coming back. This is part of their experience as well. But as a player, you know you need to take that into consideration, but still go out there and do your job and focus and try and compete at the highest level.
Well, let's kind of talk about, while I have you here, this matchup that we've got today, Pitt and Utah. This Utah matchup comes at an interesting time. The Panthers coming off of a conference loss, and Utah comes in from the Pac-12. They've been struggling in their conference, so two teams really looking to go at it today. What are your initial thoughts on how this one's going to play out?
Well, one, you can never underestimate what happened the week prior, both to yourself and your opponents. And knowing Utah, traditionally they have wonderful, wonderful offensive linemen, strong defensive linemen that can compete and have a motor. So to me, we're really looking, in my opinion, for the trenches to really be the key factor in seeing who's going to come out here and win today.
You give us maybe a final score prediction?
Score predictions I can't give you, but I'll tell you Pitt wins.
Well, that's all that matters, really,
yeah,
when we talk about it. We held a Pitt all the time. We've got so much more to talk about. Thank you so much, Penny, for joining us. We really appreciate it, and we hope for a Pitt victory. When we come back, Greg Linnelli will join me back here on the set, and we'll talk about the Chevy Drive around the Big East. We'll see you after the break.
Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Gladly accepted by doctors and hospitals everywhere.
For the best coverage of University of Pittsburgh football, tune into Pitt Panthers television on the Comcast network every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Panthers fans get an inside look at Pitt football with game replays, coaches' shows, press conferences, pre- and post-game shows, and more. Tune in to TCN Channel 188 or Channel 210 in some areas, and for a complete weekly programming schedule, visit PittsburghPanthers.com and click on the Watch and Listen tab at the top of the page. Pitt Panthers Television, your home for Pitt football, every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield. Gladly accepted by doctors and hospitals everywhere.
Well, welcome back to the show. Justin Downs, and I'm joined again with Greg Linnelli. And you know Penny pretty well. He's a great guy, fantastic. He probably could talk about this all day, I think, if we let him.
He could talk about anything all day. He has a great personality, great for the program that he's doing right now, and he's so good for athletes and even people that are trying to further themselves beyond the academic world.
Well, let's you and I get into this matchup now with Pitt and Utah, and we take a look at the team comparison here. Utah coming in 2-3. Both teams kind of struggling at the moment, but for Pitt, I think you look down at those statistics, and they've got pretty fair grip on every one of those categories.
Yeah, they do, and I think something we've talked about before, it hasn't been a consistent performance for Pitt all season long. I mean, at times the running game, which has been there pretty much all season long, but the passing game, the defense at times, we've seen them let them down, especially against Iowa. We've seen the special teams be an issue at times. So I think they're looking for a more complete game here. I think they are the better team, especially at the quarterback position with Utah having some issues there, but they got to prove it today.
Now, you say that quarterback position, I mean, instantly people, start to question things a little bit around here when, as far as, Tino Sinceri, Trey Anderson. Without getting into that debate, what does the quarterback, whoever it may be for Pitt today, what do they need to do for success?
Well, I think for Pitt, it's not turn the ball over. I mean, if that means, on 3rd and 7, you throw a 3 or 4 yard gain, all right, then let your defense take over. But 4 interceptions last week, that's not good enough here in the Big East. And you have Ray Graham, use him as much as you can.
We'll get to the starting lineups and the players to watch a little bit later in the show. Right now, let's take a look at our Chevy drive around the Big East. And you see the conference standings. Rutgers on top after that win against Pittsburgh, and then followed by West Virginia ranked number 13. And after that, I mean, really, it's anybody's game still at this point. But after that, there's a significant drop-off in talent, I think.
Yeah, a lot of uncertainty still. I mean, Cincinnati, Louisville, South Florida. I think you see even take a look at Pitt, what they were able to do against South Florida. You just don't know beyond Rutgers and West Virginia. I think West Virginia obviously is the best team in the Big East, and then it's a matter of who's the next best. Right now, it's Rutgers.
Well, let's go down and set some matchups here for you. We'll see the Big East schedule. We'll see if we can get that up there for you. You talk about the matchups today. First one, Louisville-Cincinnati, you noticed on the standings, haven't played a conference game yet. They play each other today. That game coming up at noon. Let's start with that game. Louisville at Cincinnati. Who do you like in that matchup?
I like Cincinnati. Louisville has a good run defense. I think Cincinnati's waiting for that offensive passing game to step up with Collaros at the quarterback position. I think they do it. I believe that game's a Paul Brown Stadium, so we'll see if that atmosphere changes things up. I like Cincinnati in this game.
Interesting matchup here with Navy at Rutgers.
Yeah.
Rutgers with that attacking defense going to face the triple option this week.
Yeah, the triple option. Navy, they don't turn the ball over, so they will not hurt themselves. But I think if you're Rutgers, you don't look beyond this game, because if you do, Navy can put up 45 points on you just like that, because you have to be disciplined. I think Rutgers wins this game.
USF at UConn is our final matchup, because WVU and Syracuse on a bye this week.
Yeah.
Who do you like in this one?
I like USF, although begrudgingly a little bit, because they're going to Connecticut. They're not a very good road team, especially in those colder climates. But, Connecticut, I'm just not impressed with them this year, especially offensively. I think they have a pretty good defense, but South Florida has been so good offensively this year, over 500 yards total offense in games. I think they get the win on the road.
Be interesting to see if UConn can contain B.J. Daniels as the Panthers did a couple of weeks ago. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have the players to watch. We'll set the starting lineups for you. All that still to come on Panthers Pregame.
Some people love their cars almost as much as they love their team. P-I-T-T. Let's go, Pitt.
Welcome back to Heinz Field. Just a little over a half hour away now from kickoff. You can kind of feel, just like over a month ago, it was about 100 degrees here in the Great Hall.
We were sweating.
I think, I was a puddle, and now we're shivering here with the breeze coming in. It's officially football season. The football weather has finally arrived.
It is, and you know what that means. We're going to start figuring out who gets that automatic bid to a BCS game. We're going to see who becomes first place, second place. We're really going to start to find out about the Panthers moving forward here.
I think this could really be a statement game for the Pitt Panthers. Let's check the starting lineups for you right now. We'll start actually with Utah in this one. We'll begin on offense. We talked about John Hayes. He is the quarterback since the injury to the starter earlier this season. Devontae Christopher might be a guy to watch out for. Pat Bosick pointed him out in that Wildcat formation earlier in the show. On defense, typical 4-3. You're going to see a lot of Reggie Tops, though, down there. Number 28, he's going to be their nickelback this afternoon. And when you talk about the Pitt starting lineups, I think one of the things that you look for, Greg, is how that offensive line's holding up. Lucas Nix comes back this week. Could be a real boost for the Panthers.
And it seems like it doesn't matter in the run game who's blocking, but it seems like in the pass game that has been the issue. Can they pass protect for Tino Sinceri? That remains to be seen. We'll find out today.
The defensive side of the ball looks like this. Chaz Alexi, Miles Carriage, and Brandon Lindsay up front. Two guys at linebacker, Juan Price and Todd Thomas, the young freshman. Both trying to make a big impact for this team. And so far this season, I think they've really done it. Todd Thomas especially has really stepped up.
It makes Pitt's defense more athletic, and that's exactly what you want. And again, that's the future for Pitt, those two guys along with some other guys. But you mentioned Todd. He's had a fantastic season so far.
One guy that we did leave out there when we talk about our players to watch was Pitt free safety Jared Hawley. 33 tackles on the year. Yeah. He's fourth on the team in that category. Sack and interception, a forced fumble. This guy does it all. He's been around the ball, had 6 tackles in each of the last 4 weeks.
The one thing about Hawley, he has great instincts. He's always around the football, as you alluded to, can pick off the ball as well, makes the calls back there in the secondary. He's one of the better defensive players, I think, in the Big East.
Yeah, and the guy you saw on the other side of the screen there was middle linebacker Chaz Walker for the Utah Utes. Leads the Pac-12 in tackles. When we talk about Ray Graham and the guys that, need to find success, Ray Graham we listed as the constant of this Panthers offense. Walker will be looking to stop him today.
And let's be honest, Utah's very similar to Rutgers. They're a team that likes to get after the quarterback. They're a team that likes to blitz. And if you're the Panthers, you might have an opportunity for a couple big plays in this game, whether it's in the run game or the pass game.
Because that blitz has created such a problem, I mean, and you know this, we all do. Once this is on tape and people see, other teams look at what they can do to have success against your offense, don't think for a second that Utah didn't take a look at the game film last week against Rutgers and see where the weaknesses were in this Pitt Panthers protection schemes.
They will exploit it. It's a copycat league even at the college level. But I think if you're the Panthers, you have to get the ball out quickly. We've seen that, a lot of dinking and dunking. If Devin Street can catch that ball and make some things happen, then I think they have an opportunity to get 6 points.
How do they have an opportunity to win this game? Give me 3 reasons that they'll win.
Well, Tino Sinceri cannot turn the ball over. Forget about making plays. Don't turn the ball over. Ray Graham, 40-plus touches in this game. If that's where it goes, that's what they have to do. And I think special teams be more sound. Don't give Utah any cheap field position.
Offensive coordinator Calvin McGee, if you're listening, Greg Linnelli requests 40 touches from number 1 today.
40.
Can we make that happen?
I think that's legitimate. Why not? 40.
We go ahead and actually set some programming for you while we have a little bit of time. Let's see if we can pull this up for you, give you a rundown on what's to come on Pitt Panthers television. You can catch all this action again on Sunday if you're missing it today. Panthers Untamed, Pitt Soccer, and also the full broadcast of Pitt football versus Utah. The Todd Graham Radio Show next Thursday from 7 to 8. Men's basketball has the Blue Gold scrimmage next Saturday from 5 to 7. You can catch all of that right here on the Comcast network, channel 188 and 210, depending on your location. As we go ahead, final thoughts heading into this game. Does homecoming play a factor in this one?
I don't think it does. I really don't. I think for the Panthers, what plays a factor is playing good football against Utah. Get a win today.
Well, thank you so much for watching this edition of Panthers Pregame. Check us out after the game right here for Panthers Postgame. Thanks for watching. We'll see you then.